Oops. There we go. I think I got it. Hi, my friends. I'm Rebecca from There Will Be a $5 Charge for Whining. I have you kind of propped up there, kind of wonky, like, so I hope nothing happens, like everything falling. I am a reviewer with the Old Schoolhouse magazine and the Homeschool Review Crew, and today I have a review for you from one of my very favorite vendors, one of my very favorite homeschool companies ever. And this is from Homeschool in the Woods, and I'm reviewing a product from their Project Passport World History Studies. I'm actually going to be reviewing the Project Passport Renaissance and Reformation packet, the download. It's the whole big to-do-dah. And before I get into that, I want to talk to you a little bit about my history with Homeschool in the Woods. If you're familiar with it, you of course know that it's run by the fabulous Pak family. Amy Pak is just talented. And we have been homeschooling our son for, I don't know, I can't do math this morning. Anyway, we started homeschooling him his first grade year. He is now going to be a senior. So when we first started homeschooling him, I did what you do. I read through 1.5 million, articles on homeschooling. I have my education is in teaching, and I'm had time in the classroom, so I had a very specific kind of worldview, mind view of what a classroom should look like, or what education should look like. And of course, some of the goals I have for my family weren't quite jiving with that, but that's a whole other video. And so I did what all of us do, and I researched and looked through, and one of the names that kept coming up over and over and over again was Homeschool in the Woods. And so, in fact, one of them was like, if you only had 5 things in the world that you could homeschool with, what would be those 5 things? And the particular blogger had talked about the Homeschool in the Woods timeline figures, which are fantastic, by the way. So I was intrigued, and so I went and poked around the Homeschool in the Wood website for a while, and I just fell in love. For one thing, Amy Pak does such a beautiful job with the artwork. It is just stunning. It is vintagey. It's consistent. It's very, very detailed. And so I bought that day, even though my son wasn't technically old enough for some of it, I purchased the Explorers, Time Travel Explorers CD, and I think I got, the Colonies, American Revolution. I got several, and so we use this quite a bit. I am now the happy owner of the huge collection of the Homeschool in the Woods timeline figures, and I have to say that every time we do another one of these reviews for Homeschool in the Woods, I'm finding it's harder and harder for me to find a product that I don't already have, because they're fantastic, and I have just absorbed all of them. Now, that being said, you must know that my son now is a senior in high school, so these aren't things that we are using this year, but I knew that I had to get them out there. I had to share them with my viewers because they are some of my favorite products, and I think you need to know about them. I think you need to see it firsthand. So what you do is, I received the download. There is tons of files on this program. But there's a start button on it, and the start button is the key to ease. It's the magic button. Hit that start button. It takes you to a browser on your computer, and it gives you the whole shebang. It gives you detailed instructions, links to everything you ever need to know. So don't worry if what I'm about to tell you is going to overwhelm you, because they make it easy peasy for you to find everything you need to find. Okay? Now, I'm going to tell you some pros and some cons along the way with using any of the Homeschool in the Woods products, especially one of these, because they're quite large. There are 25 stops. Now, what they do in these Project Passport series is that you are studying world history through like the eyes of a tourist. You are going on you have an itinerary, and you are going on different stops. So there are 25 stops, So you can do it as quickly or spread it out, mix and match with whatever other curriculum you're using in your homeschool. The grades are for 3 to 8. So of course we have used these with my son's high school projects. I know last year, I think it was last year or the year before, we did, I did the World War II time traveler, and we used quite a bit from that with whatever history he was studying at the time. So these stops include, there'll be of course a timeline, there'll be things from the everyday life of that particular, time period you're studying. There's art, music, literature, science and inventions, exploration. This is a Christian company, so there'll be historical Christian figures, and also how do Christians play in that particular part of history? What happened. And this particular one, of course, is during the Reformation, so there's a lot of information about that. The Bible, a lot of information about that. So every time you go on a stop, there'll be a series of activities. There's a reading, it's called the guidebook text. So some reading in that. There's hands-on activities for every stop. And of course, all of it is there for you. You don't have to dream it up. You don't have to think it up. There's recipes and, hands-on experiments, projects that you can do with your kids. Now, I'm going to show you what I did to make this a little bit less overwhelming for this review period, is that they also give you an ideas for lap books. Now, I don't know about you, but especially when I was a homeschooler of a younger child, we lived and breathed the lap books. We were just, I homeschooled via lap book, basically. And now I do a lot of notebooking, but that's a whole other video. I could probably talk about all that. But lap books are wonderful, wonderful ways to kind of encapsulate, to bring all of your themes, all the things that you've learned, to have hands-on things going through it. And it gives you a nice little keepsake, a little memento, and also a study guide for further studies. And we've used these in particular for that. So what I did was, there are instructions to make some of the projects into lap books. Now, there are over 50 projects in this particular study, and that can be really overwhelming. So this is just a small sampling of that, and don't worry, she gives you all the instructions, but you will see in how absolutely clever, detailed, and just perfect these are. So I'm going to open it up. This one's one that's opened up from the middle. This is all these little, this is what is Renaissance, and it gives you a little pull out there. There's a little down here, there's something for the Renaissance man. You open up this one, it's got all these little books in it. You open up this one. Now, I am missing 2 or 3 little sections. I'll talk about that in a minute. Now, I have to show you this, if you can see it. This little ship sails around the globe. It is absolutely adorable. And you open it up and it gives some things. Now, here we go. We have the figures for the Renaissance. This one is Conrad Grebel. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Martin Luther, of course, and not the Renaissance, but the Reformation. Sorry. Throwing things. John Knox. So these are all people, historical figures. You can, there's quotes to put on the back of those. Here is the graphing the heart of the Reformation by country. So it's an open up book that way. This is this is influences of music during the Renaissance. This little tab book. Close this up. It's your dining out guide. Here is Ptolemy and Copernicus. Ptolemy and Copernicus. Cute little thingies that way. And as I said, I'm missing some pieces. I think I have them over here. I have the most adorable little books about King Henry VIII that actually, and a little pouch that actually uses ribbon. Anyway, and also I haven't got this guy in. This is the Galileo telescope. Anyway, but it comes with all the pieces, so I thought I'd leave some of the pieces to show you separately too. Okay, so here's some cons about using Homeschool in the Woods. It is labor intensive. It is teacher intensive. It's something that you will have to spend some time with. And it also requires a lot of printing. I'll talk about a few of my tips to handle those kinds of things in just a minute. But however, I think the cons are so much more outweighed by the pros of the product. As I said before, Amy Pak is just clever. Her little books, her little folds, even her notebooking activities are just beyond clever, inventive. They're excellently produced. You are getting quality work, and they're fun. They actually teach something in a way that is valuable and lasting. And so that's what I would have been all over this. I am all over this as a homeschool mom, but if I were a student, this would have been up my alley as the way to learn. So how I usually handle Homeschool in the Woods is I begin by going to my little start button and I start looking through all of the little individual tabs. There will be the travel itinerary. There will be helps, things that you can read, tips and tricks, that instructions for everything you can think of. There's even additional resources if you want to assign books, things to do, all that good stuff. So all that is included there. But what I do is I give myself a good amount of time to go through and print out, take care of as much as I can right away. So that way, if I'm having an off morning, if it is going to be hard just to get out of bed, let alone, take care of a week's worth of printing and whatnot, I can do it. So I usually like to go and make notes, print out as much as I can. I keep things in either file folders or the plastic baggie is terrific. Now, I'm always a big believer in the using what you have method of homeschooling. There will be suggestions for what to, she'll tell you exactly what to print out, how to fix the book, the little tab, the little notebook, whatever it is you're doing, the project you're doing. She'll give you instructions on how to do that exactly, what to print out. So don't worry about any of that. I will say that the longer I've been doing these, I do appreciate the importance of good cardstock. Now, not the fancy. Obviously, some of the cardstock I used in this book was kind of heavy, so it made it kind of pokey. But they just last longer. I also have laminated pieces, so all the little pieces sometimes that your lap books will have, and so I've used my laminator quite a bit. But otherwise, for this particular lap book project, I use brads, I use double-sided sticky tape, cardstock. I use some stick glue for some of the projects. So she'll give you all of those lists, all of those things that you need to do. But let me tell you, the project itself is huge. It's wonderful. It's perfect to add to any kind of history study, or even to use it yourself and supplement with some live living books, documentaries. We have done that as well. And so I encourage you to go check Homeschool in the Woods out. Check out the Project Passport for the Renaissance and Reformation, like the one I've talked about here today, that I've showed you. There will be, if you go to the Crew website, which I will leave a link below, you will have all sorts of reviews for all sorts of products. There's people that, ladies that reviewed the Time Travelers series, some of the Time Travelers series. There's others that reviewed some more of the Project Passports. They have Ancient Egypt, Ancient Rome. Most of those I have already. In fact, I think all of those I have already. So this was one I did not have. I will leave a link to my blog. I'm not sure if I can pull up all of my Homeschool in the Woods reviews or mentions of the product. That would be a bit much, but you can poke around there and see if you can see something else that strikes your fancy. So I'm gonna let you go, my friends. I hope that you have a beautiful, wonderful day, a lovely day, do beautiful things, hug your people. I'll see you again. Bye-bye.